My island, Crescent Key, was a slice of paradise, a 12-acre jewel in the middle of Lake Wisteria, fringed with cypress trees and white sand beaches. I'd bought it 15 years ago, cash, from a reclusive artist who'd built a single-story cabin nestled in a clearing. No neighbors, no noise, just me, the water, and the occasional egret. I'm a botanist by trade, specializing in native flora, and I'd spent years cultivating the island's ecosystem, planting rare bald cypress and live oaks to restore what logging had stripped a century ago. The cabin ran on a small solar array and a backup generator, enough for my needs. Life was quiet. Then the HOA showed up. Wisteria Shores, a gated community on the lake's mainland, had sprouted 5 years back. Their McMansions loomed across the water, a half-mile from my shore. I'd ignored their invitations to join the HOA, since Crescent Key was private property, outside their jurisdiction. But Karen, the HOA president, had other plans. She was a retired lawyer, mid-60s, with a perm that defied humidity and a voice that carried like a foghorn. She'd been eyeing my island since she took office, calling it underutilized in HOA newsletters. Trouble started last spring. I was on the mainland teaching a workshop on wetland restoration when my neighbor, Tom, a fisherman who checked on my cabin, called. "You better get back here," he said. "They're building something on your island." I drove the 20 miles in record time, my skiff bouncing across the lake. When I reached Crescent Key, I couldn't believe it. 172 solar panels, gleaming like oversized mirrors, covered my southern meadow. Workers in Wisteria Shores, branded vests, were wiring them to a battery bank the size of a shed. Karen stood nearby, clipboard in hand, directing like a general. I stormed ashore. "What the hell is this? This is my land." Karen didn't flinch. "We're improving the lake's sustainability," she said, adjusting her sunglasses. "Your island gets the best sunlight. The HOA voted to install a solar farm to power our community. You'll be compensated." "Compensated?" I shouted. "You trespassed and defaced my property. Take this junk down." She smirked. "We filed an easement with the county. Your island's part of our green initiative. Refuse, and we'll sue for obstruction." The workers kept hammering, ignoring me. I called the sheriff. Deputy Ramirez, who'd fished with me before, arrived by boat. I showed him my deed, clear as day. Crescent Key was mine. No easements, no shared rights. Karen handed him a stack of papers, permits, signatures, an emergency environmental order. Ramirez scratched his head. "This looks fishy, but it's above my pay grade. Get a lawyer." I did. My attorney, Sarah, dug into the permits. They were forgeries filed by Karen's brother-in-law, a county clerk with a history of bending rules. The easement was a sham, pushed through without my consent. Sarah filed an injunction to halt construction and a countersuit for trespass and damages. Meanwhile, Karen's crew finished the solar farm, fencing it with chain link and posting Wisteria Shores property signs. My meadow, once home to native grasses and monarch butterflies, was a sterile grid of metal and glass. I wasn't about to wait for the courts. Karen wanted a war? She'd get one, on my terms. As a botanist, I knew the power of plants. Solar panels need sunlight, and Crescent Key's strength was its trees. I'd spent years studying fast-growing species, and I had a plan, an army of trees to reclaim my land. I started with Chinese tallow trees, invasive but perfect for the job. They grow 15 feet a year, with dense canopies that block sunlight like a curtain. I ordered 500 saplings from a nursery, paying rush delivery. Under cover of night, Tom and I planted them in tight rows around the solar farm, just outside the fence. I mixed in native bald cypress for longevity, their knobby roots thriving in the lake's damp soil. I fertilized with nitrogen-rich compost and rigged a drip irrigation system for my well. By summer's end, the tallows were 10 feet tall, their leaves casting long shadows over the panels. The cypresses, slower but sturdier, were close behind. Karen noticed in August. She motored over in her pontoon boat, screaming about vandalism. I stood on my dock, pruning shears in hand. "These are my trees, on my land," I said. "You like sunlight? Too bad." She filed a complaint, claiming my trees violated scenic standards. The HOA sent a cease and desist letter demanding I remove them. Sarah laughed when she read it. "They're on your property, and trees aren't regulated by their bylaws. Keep planting." So I did. I added black locusts, another fast grower, along the fence's northern edge. By September, the solar farm was half shaded, its output plummeting. Wisteria Shore's lights flickered at night, their green initiative choking on my greenery. Karen's newsletters turned hysterical, blaming rogue landowners for their power woes. Residents grumbled. Many hadn't wanted the solar farm, just lower dues. The court date arrived in October. Sarah presented our case, the forged permits, Karen's trespass, and photos of my ruined meadow. I showed drone footage of my trees, now 20 feet tall, swallowing the panels in shade. The judge, a no-nonsense woman who'd grown up on a farm, wasn't amused by Karen's defense. "You forged county documents and built without permission," she said. "That's not an initiative, that's a crime." She ordered the panels removed within 30 days, fined the HOA $100,000 for damages, and referred Karen's brother-in-law for prosecution. My countersuit won another $50,000 for restoration costs. Karen tried one last stunt, hiring a contractor to cut my trees. I caught them at dawn, chainsaws idling. I'd rigged motion sensor sprinklers, which doused them in seconds. Ramirez, tipped off by Tom, arrested the crew for trespass. Karen's reign ended soon after. The HOA voted her out, replacing her with a retired teacher who apologized profusely. By spring, the panels were gone, the meadow scarred but recoverable. I planted native grasses and wildflowers, letting the tallows and locusts stay as a buffer. The cypresses, now 15 feet, will outlive me, their roots anchoring Crescent Key's future. Wisteria Shores keeps their distance, their mansions dimmer without my sunlight. Karen moved away, her reputation in tatters. I'm back to my quiet life, tending plants, watching egrets, sipping coffee on my porch. The island's mine again, greener than ever. If anyone else wants a fight, they'll face my army of trees, ready to grow taller and thicker than any HOA's dreams.